Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden 22 defensive plays video breakdown, want to take a look at a man blitz out of the nickel 155 double A gap, and the name of the defense is called mid blitz. And for this video breakdown, or at least for this defensive play, we are going to show this in a three-part series. I know some of you guys think that some of my videos might be just a little bit long, so what I'm going to try to do is let's go ahead and try to split this one up into three parts. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you like it this way, where I'm doing it in three different parts, or if we're doing it all in one big long video. I just want to see what you guys think about it. So I'm going to try something a little bit different and see how it goes. So in the very first video breakdown, what I'm going to show is basically break down the play for you guys so you guys can see just like I normally do. And then I'm going to show you a setup. The very first setup that I'm going to show is going to be an A gap blitz. So it shows how to get some A gap heat. Pretty basic setup. I think most of you guys probably already know it. And for those that don't, this is one that you can run that allow you to get some inside heat, in particular coming from one of the inside backers. And in the second setup, I'm going to show up in the second video breakdown of it. It's going to be double edge pressure, which is kind of neat, where you can get pressure coming from both sides, from the two outside linebackers, allow you to get some pressure on the outside. And then the third setup I'm going to show, and you definitely want to check this one out because it's an advanced setup, and this one is going to allow you to have just a few defenders rushing the quarterback and have multiple defenders dropping back in zone coverage along plus man coverage. So that's definitely one you'll want to check out. Down at the bottom of the video breakdown, the description of it, there'll be links to those videos as well, and that way you guys can easily get to them. And so I just want to point that out to you. Also, at the end of the defensive video breakdown that I'll show, I want to also mention that you guys might want to check out some of the stuff that I do on the MaddenGuides.com site as well. And we'll talk about that in the video breakdown in the third one, because I'm not sure if everybody knows this or not, at least some of you guys, that at the end of a lot of these videos that I do, or at least a lot of the videos I do for the YouTube channel, I also have them on the Madden Guides website, and then they get a little bit more detailed. Not only does it have the video, but it also has some text, some images, and you get a little bit more like coaching points that maybe I forgot in the video breakdown. So any rate, just get a chance, maybe check that out at the whenever you get an opportunity to. So let's go ahead and first thing, let's go ahead and get onto the field here and get to that. But before we get to the field, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the play info for the mid blitz. So again, this one's out of the nickel 155 double A gap. It's called mid blitz. You're going to find it with one defensive lineman, five linebackers, and five defensive backs. That's the personnel. The coverage type is man, obviously. Coverage shell is cover zero, meaning you don't have any deep defenders playing zone coverage. Blitz type is man blitz. The A gap pressure is what it's designed to do, is come through the A gap. Depending on what you do, if you're going to get that or not, a lot of times it'll come from the outside if you don't do anything at all. We'll talk about that here in just a second. The pass rushers, you're going to have 6 of them. You're going to have 5 pass defenders. All right, let's go ahead and get going here. And I do believe this particular formation, you're only going to find this out of the Steelers playbook. So if you're following along with that, you'll definitely find it out of the Steelers as far as with the play itself. Let's go back out just for a second, take a look at the formation. You can see right there, it's the double A gap, the 155 double A gap out of the nickel formation. So let's go ahead and get into it. As I mentioned, the play that we're going to go ahead and show for this particular video breakdown is called mid blitz. So if you're following along, definitely need to do that. On the offensive end, I'm just going to come back out of here and show it to you just so you see it's gun doubles. For what I'm going to run right now is just the curl combo. Obviously, everybody's going out, so I want you guys to recognize that. Now, as I've already pointed out with this particular defense, what you're going to have here is you're going to have 5 defenders that are going to be in man coverage. So I'm just going to point those guys out briefly to you. It's pretty obvious on the screen. You can see them with the gray art going to the receiver that they're covering. But those are your 5 defenders. And then as we zoom in here, it's pretty much all these guys that are going to be rushing the quarterback. So it's all those guys on your screen. Now, as I pointed out, I'm going to go ahead and run this without doing anything at all. Now, because these 2 linebackers, as you look at it, these 2 inside linebackers are lined up here, they're not going to get A-gap pressure. They're going to get blocked by those interior offensive linemen. And generally, you're going to find pressure coming off the edge from one of these guys. You're going to get it coming from that linebacker there, which is your right outside linebacker, or you're going to get it from the left outside linebacker. Now, keep in mind, that's based on the depth chart and not from what you're seeing on your screen. Obviously, I know my right from left, but if you're looking at it from the depth chart, that's what that means as far as left and outside and right outside linebacker. Let's go ahead and run the play. I'm not really worried about throwing it to anybody. I just want you guys to see right there. It comes from the left outside linebacker on that particular defense without doing anything at all. That's the pressure you're going to get. And so that's it as far as that. Now, if you want to get one guy coming in, you don't want to make any adjustments. Maybe you're playing the league. They don't let you move guys around. You can't do all this jazz here and all that. That's what you're going to get. So that is the bare bones setup right there. You don't do anything at all. And you're probably going to get some edge pressure coming off from that linebacker. It's going to be coming from either the left or the right outside linebacker. All right, let's show you how to get some A-gap pressure. That's what we first talked about with the very first setup. So let's go ahead and talk about that here with this breakdown. And we'll just go ahead and show you how to do it. It's very simple setup for you guys who maybe never messed with this at all. But if you go ahead and shift the linebackers, and you can see right there, I've got the shift LB. If you press up on the left stick, what that's going to do is it's going to back them off. And so that kind of looks like a normal type, maybe like a nickel 155, not the double A gap, but just a nickel 155 defense. And then if you just go ahead, a lot of times, I know a lot of you guys like to call press coverage. I would recommend doing that. Now, if you go ahead and run this as is, let's just go ahead and run this. I'm going to switch off to another defender for now. You're going to get inside pressure coming from one of these guys. Sometimes this guy might get in, or it might be the other one. But one of these inside linebackers are certainly going to hit the A gap and get in. Let's go ahead and see who hits it on this one. And it's going to come from the left inside linebacker. He's the one that gets the pressure on the quarterback. Now, as you look at it from a top-down view, just look at it, you can see the problem with this is obviously you're going to find that your opponent can beat this pretty quickly simply by throwing the ball. If he wanted to, he could just throw it out here to the flat real quick to the running back, and he probably can hit him. You could probably hit the tight end. Obviously, there's some other things he can hit, maybe some running slants. There's a lot of different things he can do because he's going to probably have just enough time to get the ball off. Although the linebacker right there who's blitzing has 90 speed, I believe that's Bush. You're going to have that type of the faster the linebacker blitzing on those A gaps, the better chance you're going to get pressure on the quarterback. But as you can see, it can be easily beaten if the quarterback was to throw it quick enough. So that's the bare bones as far as with this setup. You don't have to do a whole lot. Just go ahead and bring up the linebackers thing as far as the adjustments, and that's just going ahead and basically just pressing right on the D-pad, and then you just go ahead and press up on the left stick. And that's really it as far as the setup. Now, one of the things I would recommend doing with this, plus called press coverage, is to try to move this guy right here. Now, this might give away a little bit what you're doing as far as the coverage, but you kind of want to try to get him as kind of a little bit closer to the running back as you can. Now, I'm going to show you something else that you can do too as well. So let's just go ahead and run this as again, and then I'm going to switch off. Now, keep in mind, I would probably control one of those safeties, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And this time we get it coming from the right inside linebacker. So we end up getting pressure. Regardless, you're always going to get A-gap pressure. Now, what if your opponent does something like this? Let's just go ahead and leave the running back. And this is why I suggest doing this, what I was just talking about earlier. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and bring this up here, shift these linebackers up. We're going to go ahead and bring this guy down. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go ahead and bring this guy as well. Now, kind of again, I'm tipping my hand, but we'll talk about that here in just a bit. And then what I'm going to do is, if they leave that running back in, a lot of times the guy I'm in control of is going to be the guy covering the running back if I can. Now, if it's 5 wide, that's a little different. But if it's where the running back's in the backfield, then I'm going to bring him up. Now, if I see him stay in the pass block, then I need to go ahead and rush. Because if I don't rush, that linebacker is going to get picked up by the running back. So what I suggest you guys do is what I'm doing here. Watch to see if that running back goes out. If you see him step up and it looks like he's going to block, then you need to go ahead and rush him. Because if you don't rush him, as I just mentioned, then this guy right here is going to go right in here and pick that guy up, and you ain't going to get any pressure on the quarterback. So make sure that if you want to make sure you get pressure, then you almost have to make sure that that running back's occupied by somebody, and that's why I suggest running the guy you're in control of, in this case the safety. Now, if for some reason this guy picks up here, then you're going to see there we end up getting pressure coming from somebody else. A lot of times, as you look at it, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit on this. these two guys right here, the offensive linemen cannot block all three of these guys. Now keep in mind the guy that I'm in control is right there. So that means this guy's going to get freed up. Somebody's going to get freed up when you can get pressure as long as you rush the defender it's supposed to be covering the running back. That's where I suggest on that. So that's really it in the nutshell as far as with this setup. Just make sure you kind of recognize it, and then you're going to have to play based on what that running back does. If he goes out, you got to go cover him. If he doesn't go out, then you need to go ahead and rush him. Because if you don't rush him, the blitz is probably going to get picked up, and they're probably going to end up beating you for a big play. Let's go back and look at something else here and just show you some other things you can do. For example, with this particular setup, you really don't have a cover 2 man coverage, but you do have this one right here, which is cover 1 hole. So what you could do here is, let's just go ahead and show this to you. If you wanted to, go ahead and bring this up. Go ahead and call your press coverage. You know, just try to make it look like the same defense if you can, and do something like that. That might be something that you might do right there. And then you're not really going to blitz. And if you wanted to, you're not really looking to get pressure with this setup that I'm about to show here. But maybe something else you could do is you could do something like this. You know, you could do something like that. And that way you get a lot of different coverage, and you're trying to make the defense look a little bit like the one that you set up when you were trying to get pressure from the mid blitz. So just keep that in mind. All right, guys, that's it for this particular video breakdown. Hopefully this will give you guys at least an idea how to get the double A gap pressure from the nickel 155. And what you're going to end up doing with this setup is getting some inside pressure. It's just going to be A gap pressure, but it's certainly a defense that can bring some pressure on the quarterback from the nickel 155 double A gap mid blitz.